Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to another edition of Debunked here on INX Prime. One of the most common named NGOs in terms of people speaking, articles being written, or just common discussion here in South Africa is Gift of the Givers. On a regular basis, we hear about the different initiatives and projects that they are involved in here locally, within the borders of South Africa, and internationally as well. Now, during this last week, there was a story that featured in the media, which I think caught some people somewhat by surprise. It concerned some people in terms of the nature of the allegations. And that is where the Helen Suzman Foundation found that it was being taken on in terms of having invited Dr Imtiaz Sooliman to deliver the annual Helen Suzman Memorial Lecture. Now, what had happened is that there was a Jewish human rights lawyer writing in the Israel Times, and he accused Dr Imtiaz Sooliman and the Gift of the Givers of funding terrorism, while urging the Helen Suzman Foundation, by addressing the chair, to cancel the choice of Dr Sooliman to deliver the lecture. Dr Sooliman has since refuted the accusation, and he has demanded that Lawrence Nowosenetz, who is also a former chairperson of the Jewish Board of Deputies, that he should produce any evidence. The Helen Suzman Foundation has confirmed that plans are still in place and that Dr Sooliman will deliver the annual Helen Suzman Memorial Lecture. To talk about this issue and to get his perspective on these accusations, we have on the program the man himself, Dr Imtiaz Sooliman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Moulana. Jazakallah for inviting me to your program.
Let me start off by asking you that, did it surprise you that these kinds of allegations surfaced? I know many of your supporters and well-wishers were like, hey, where's this man coming from? We only hear good about Dr. Imtiaz. But looking at some of the responses that you gave to some in the mainstream media, it seems like you knew that once you were going to be vocal about the Palestinian issue, that something like this was inevitable.
Yes, I'm not surprised it happened. I'm only surprised it happened 1 year later. I'm actually a little disappointed that it took them 1 year to come and attack me, and I was suddenly expecting, but, I felt extremely happy to get an attack like that, because in that attack, it tells you something between the lines. It tells you that the Zionists have run out of ideas. They're floundering in a sea of chaos and confusion. They don't know what to do. They don't know how else to deal with the issue. Israel is falling apart. They're falling apart, and they need to try to cover up their tracks of genocide. The irony about all this is that the lawyer who made the claim is a human rights lawyer, and yet Israel is carrying out a genocide against the Palestinian people. So what type of human rights are you talking about? Secondly, if you're a lawyer, I like to know where you studied, because when you're a lawyer, you're supposed to produce irrefutable proof of what you are saying. You must make claims. The claims that you make must be substantiated by proof. And the reality is that he will get zero proof, because there's the way the system works. And I will explain to you how the system works, which is foolproof, that no one, especially the way we operate, can get involved in funding terrorism.
Now, this issue of funding terrorism, there's the talk in that letter, or his article, if you like, about a foundation that you founded way beyond even founding the Gift of the Givers, and monies flowing from Gift of the Givers to certain organizations which internationally are listed as terrorist organizations or supporters of terrorism. What's your response to that?
That organization was created in 1991. And we gave it the name Al-Aqsa Foundation. As you know, the name Al-Aqsa is very common, is sentiment to Muslims all over the world. There must be hundreds of thousands of organizations called Al-Aqsa for various purposes. So we started that year with a Palestinian campaign. We raised some money, it wasn't much. We transferred the money to people who were recognized, at that time, who were incredible, who came to us initially to ask South Africa for help. They had no money doing having transfers. There was no blacklist against the name in 1991, or those organizations that we dealt with. I don't know subsequently what happened, but it was a clear case. 91, money was transferred, went to a British bank, went to Palestine, chapter was closed. In 92, I got instruction to form Gift of the Givers. We can't run two organizations. So we passed the organization on to some interested individuals and said, look, whatever you do after this is your problem. We've got two choices. Either we shut it down, or you guys go ahead with it. And those individuals said they'll go ahead with it. They don't mind. Gift of the Givers' focus was not Palestine. Our focus was South Africa, and any international disaster, one's organization was given instruction by the Sufisha in Istanbul. And actually, our first projects were Bosnia and the Civil War in Bosnia. We had no relationships, interactions, or no activities related to Palestine in Gift of the Givers right up till 2002. And that intervention was requested by the late Deputy Minister Aziz Pahad from International Relations. He said he's going to Ramallah, he's going to meet Yasser Arafat, who was bombed at his compound at that time, and can we arrange some medical equipment and some supplies for Ramallah? I said yes. We arranged a flight from South Africa, bought the equipment here, and for 8 weeks, the Israeli embassy did everything possible to try to block us, to delay us, to try to cut the mission off, and eventually we beat them at their own game. The equipment came into Israel, and it would be taken to Ramallah. Rafik Ganget at that time was the ambassador to Palestine. We told the Israelis, you can check the equipment out. It's in your country. Do all the X-ray checks, see whatever is there, see if there's any bombs, whatever you want to check for. Eventually, they had no choice but to send the machines across. And that was the first mission that we did with Palestine and the Gift of the Givers. And just before we carry on, the next one was in 2009, when we went to Gaza for the first time. We took in personnel. Now, for you to enter Gaza, you need to be cleared by Israeli authorities. Now, if there's any links to terrorism, they'll stop you immediately and won't allow you to go in. They allowed us in 2009, and they allowed us in 2014. And from that period of time, we got banks in Israeli accounts. Accounts in Israeli banks in Israel, in Palestine. And the funding goes through there, or what that we do for West Bank and Gaza. That's one of the channels that we use. And the other channel that we use is from Standard Bank. In South Africa, because all our transactions are done with the Standard Bank. Now, for transactions to take place, you need the permission of the Reserve Bank.
Okay, it seems like a bit of a connectivity issue. We'll take a quick break and then we come back and continue the discussion with Dr Imtiaz Sooliman. All right, welcome back. We've got Dr Imtiaz Sooliman back with us. So, Doc, you were explaining to us the process, right? You bank with a reputable bank, Standard Bank. You need authority and authorization from the Reserve Bank. You've got accounts opened in Israel. So, you can't just fund terrorism.
No, you can't. And to make the thing more secure, we actually asked the bank, if this organization we're working for the first time, we get references from everybody. We just don't transfer money to anybody. In the beginning, of course, if we don't have offices in an area, we have to do it through somebody else. But we don't just transfer money without cross-checking through references. But in spite of that, we still tell the bank to check for us if there's any of those organizations on the list, that's a terror list or something where it's blacklisted. And the bank would come back to us and say, look, there's no issue here. You can transfer money, it's fine. And we've got a 32-year history with Standard Bank and a 32-year history with Reserve Bank. Never once have we been red flagged. If that's the case, we won't get permission to transfer money. And in every year, we've been granted more permission, with bigger funds and bigger amounts to transfer, but absolutely no issue whatsoever. Neither by SARS, neither by the Reserve Bank, neither by State Security, neither by DERCO, neither by Standard Bank, and neither by the banks that Standard Bank works with internationally. So we've never had a problem. So if there was a problem, it's taken like 31 years for these guys to pick up a problem. 33 years actually, to pick up a problem. And 91 wasn't Gift of the Givers, it was pre-Gift of the Givers. And it's less than a year that that organization was in existence with us.
So we see internationally, right, that humanitarian organizations that are doing work and trying to assist the Palestinians and are simultaneously vocal about the occupation and about the oppression of Palestinians and the genocide. And there's the smear campaign we see with Israel against different NGOs internationally as well. Are you expecting this attack to be sustained now that Gift of the Givers has been as vocal as it has been about the Palestinian issue, and that now you are trying your best to assist the oppressed people there?
I don't think it can sustain. The one difference between us and every other NGO in the world is every other Muslim NGO in the world is that we are fully supported by the South African government. We have a relationship with them. Actually, they tried this first in 2001. The Americans made a statement that Gift of the Givers is funding the Taliban and terrorism in Afghanistan. And Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was then Minister of International Relations at that point, or at that time it was called Minister of Foreign Affairs, came on hard against the Americans and said, don't interfere with the South African organization and don't blame something that you don't know, that you got no proof for. And that thing just died, and we never heard anything about it since then. In this last year, So, and in fact, from October 7th, when Gift of the Givers started the funding for assistance in Gaza, President Cyril Ramaphosa and Minister Naledi Pandor have been, clear on local media, live and on many occasions publicly, saying that our agency, our Gaza is through Gift of the Givers. And there's enough recorded, interviews on that matter in many sessions, in press conferences, where both, Cyril Ramaphosa, our president, and Naledi Pandor said they're working with us.
Doc, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, is the picture gone?
No, I think we got it there. So you were saying that you've got the backing of the South African government, right? And Minister Pandor and President Ramaphosa made it very clear. After this letter came out, has there been any of your donors or any of the members of the public who have come up to you and said, look, we're concerned about this? Or has it been the opposite, that they've come out and offered support and said, don't worry, we know you're doing good work and we know that these are just wild allegations?
Oh, the support has been phenomenal. Nobody took any interest in that letter. And actually said, who are these people to take us on? They said the most ridiculous thing they've ever heard. And this is not from one religion. It's across religion. Churches have offered help. Even state security guys call us and said, like, what are these guys smoking? What's wrong with them? And the support, people even made some kind of poster to say they stand with us. I said, thank you very much. But the truth manifests itself. We don't have to worry. Truth always comes out. And I challenged the people who write the letter. I said, if you've got an issue and you've got proof, please charge me in my personal capacity. With the SAPS, with the SIU, with Hawks, with the NPA, inform state security, inform DERCO, tell the president's office, tell Standard Bank, and even tell Standard Chartered and the banks in Israel that you've got this irrefutable proof. Charge me. I want you to charge me. Please bring it forward. You're never going to find it because we followed clear processes and everything that we've done. Otherwise, we won't get permission for 32 years to transfer funds the way we've been transferring funds. And we won't get the full backing of the government in whatever we do.
Now, the Helen Suzman Foundation has come out and said, look, they're not taking this into consideration, this request that, they remove you as the keynote speaker and things are going to go ahead as planned. What's the plan here? I mean, what brief were you given when you were invited? What topic are you expected to speak on when you deliver this address?
It had nothing to do with Palestine. It had everything to do with 30 years of democracy, and how things have changed in the social space. So it's like giving analysis of 30 years ago, right till now, what has happened in South Africa and impact of social movements, and how can we comment on the lives of people in South Africa. It had nothing to do with Palestine. It had everything to do with a local issue.
I see that there's been some comment, right, Doc, about Helen Suzman. And in that letter, the assertion is made that Helen Suzman was pro-Israel. I see that this morning, News 24 ran a piece by Tony Leon. He said that the headline is something along the lines of Helen Suzman would not have deplatformed Gift of the Givers, but would have called out Imtiaz Sooliman, suggesting that she would have called you out for the position that you're taking on Palestine. Did that in any way factor in when you decided to accept this invite as to what was Helen Suzman's view on the Palestinian issue?
It's the committee that it was not Helen Suzman's invitation. It was an invitation of the people around the Helen Suzman Foundation. So based on that, and I don't know what the views are, to be honest, I accept invitations on the basis of the merit. They want you to come and speak to a crowd of people, address about South Africa, speak about whatever you want to speak. I come. I was not questioning Helen Suzman, but she is not the one who invited me. It was the people of the foundation who were there, and I had no issue. Like I've accepted 189 invites last year, and I've got close to 200 invites this year already. So I speak on the merit of each platform. And I've never been questioning. I'm not there questioning Suzman. She's not here to defend herself.
Is there going to be a change in approach from your side now that what has happened in terms of what you're going to address in that particular talk?
No. I keep to the brief that I've been given. I don't ever change the brief around. If people tell me to speak on South Africa, I speak on South Africa. If you ask me to speak on Palestine, I speak on Palestine. If you ask me to speak on a topic, I speak on another topic. That's, you have to be ethical. You have to be true to what you do, in integrity. I will not be that distracted and say, okay, these guys attack me, I need to attack them in the speech. I don't do that. That's not my style. I don't approach it. It's very unprofessional. when I accept a topic and I stand, this is what you want me to speak about, this is what I'll speak about. But I tell them very clearly that in the talks that I give, inevitably in the question session, somebody may ask about Gaza, but that I'll answer, if that happens, because that has happened in quite a few talks where the topic had nothing to do with Palestine, but you would get one or two questions based on Gaza in those talks.
Now, the more important issue, Doc, right? This, as you say, is a distraction. Somebody writes a letter, it gets a bit of media coverage. The more important issue is the plight of the Palestinian people and the plight of the people in Gaza. We know in recent weeks, Israel has cracked down on the media. So it's very difficult for us to know the exact extent of what is happening currently. From a humanitarian perspective, is aid still flowing in? If so, how much? What reports are you getting in terms of the situation on the ground, in terms of the immediate requirements?
Look, the aid is flowing, but not to the level in which you need it to flow. Pre-war, you needed 800 to 900 trucks a day to enter Gaza. You're very lucky. The advantage is some commercial activities taking place. So you can buy stuff from the commercial market, to take aid across. You can't really move trucks across, but you can buy some stuff commercially. We're busy upgrading. We upgraded the desalination plant. We're supporting students studying in the hospitals. When I say studying in hospitals, I mean it's not the hospital like you need normally. Maybe 4 walls are functional and 4 rooms are functional, the rest are bombed. But the Palestinians, having the quality of sumud and resilience, they carry on in a broken building, no roof, no door, no window, they carry on. Broken equipment, fix something, we're supporting that. We're also busy right now in upgrading one wing of Al-Shifa Hospital. It's a massive hospital, a very small wing, to upgrade an ICU, some theaters, and some aspect for maternity, for delivery. And whenever we can buy commercial goods, we take it in from inside Gaza. The last delivery was probably 3 months ago, when Aspen funded $450,000 of medicines, and Aspen made the arrangement and those supplies went in. That was probably the last big order that we got in. We got in trucks before that, nowhere compared to what we really need to put in. We made 10 villages in Gaza, getting poles and material, and the Palestinians themselves did it. They fixed the desalination plant, as I said, but it's nothing to what we require. But whilst doing that, we're helping Palestinians on the outside also. On the last region border, there's 3 buildings of housing Palestinians, people who couldn't bank, those that came back from the hospitals. With TD, we're helping 5,000 kids now in schools in Cairo. What counseling, what support, hospitals in Egypt, and of course we brought Palestinians to South Africa. 22 adverts, 10 are coming to Pretoria University next year. We're arranging the first 4 dental students for UWC. And of course, it says for us from year 1 to year 6, bring as many as you want, not only in medicine, but also in allied health sciences. So we are looking at all those options, to help Palestinians, whether inside the country or outside the country, in the best way we can.
Talk to us, Doc, about that process of bringing Palestinians to South Africa, either for education or for specialized surgery and medical treatment that they require. I suppose with your relationship with government, it makes it much easier to overcome the red tape and to facilitate that. What's the challenges around, getting them settled here and integrating?
We don't bring any medical people for medical services. We feel it's better to do it in Egypt or somewhere nearby. It's too far to bring them for medical services. But in terms of the students, it's not complicated. The deans of the medical schools found a way around it, because they said for 60 electives, we have students from America, from other parts of the world. It's the same process. It's just a different country. They had to be able to be out of Gaza. There's no for 3 months for students coming to South Africa, or any Palestinians coming to South Africa for that matter. So there was no visa issue for a 3-month period. There was no issue bringing them from Egypt if they were already out of Gaza. Many of them who were supposed to come are still trapped in Gaza, so we couldn't take those students. When they come to South Africa, of course, there were options. There were students on campus. The Cape Town students help us, but it's far. We look at new premises. We found new premises very close to the campus. So there's a shuttle service that takes them up and down.
Doc, just to conclude, right? I know along the way in the last year or so, there were times when we spoke. I think some infrastructure that Gift of the Givers had developed in Gaza had been destroyed in the attacks. You lost some members of your team. What assessment do you have currently in terms of the number of people available and the resources available to do relief work within the borders of Gaza?
We lost the head of office, Ahmed Abbasi, was murdered on the 16th of November, coming after Fajr Salah on the masjid. His brother was killed with him. His brother is a doctor. Doesn't work for us, but he is a doctor in the hospital. Subsequently, in a period of time, my team members that worked for me inside or outside Gaza, they've lost 175 family members. One of the team members who spoke out openly in Cape Town to journalists, 2 days later, a whole family was, initially she was giving the story of how 52 members of her family were killed, 53 members, and immediately, 2 days later after she spoke, her father was shot by a sniper, and a day later, the entire family was taken out, more than 50 of them. She alone has lost 115 family members. All our buildings are destroyed. Our 2 desalination plants, our trucks, our 6-story women and childcare, which is the biggest childcare center in Gaza. You know, the clinic that was given to us, the Khuzat medical center that was given to an Algerian NGO, the Khuzat school that we were supporting, every infrastructure that we've got, offices, everything is destroyed.
All right, Doc. Shukran so much for joining us and for talking to us today, and all the best, inshallah. Keep up the good work.
In terms of it has been absolutely phenomenal. If those borders open, we can move in many more supplies. And we've got 200 medical doctors of different disciplines on standby to go in. And we've got 35 psychologists to go in to support. We've got allied healthcare workers. We can buy trucks, we can buy medicine, we can put up tents, we can start infrastructure. We can do all that. The support will get even bigger once we enter Gaza, you know, and I'm hoping that will happen not in the too distant future.
Inshallah. Dr. Jazakumullah for your time and for chatting to us, and all the best, inshallah. Keep up the good work.
Shukran, Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There you had it, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman of Gift of the Givers, responding to those allegations made in that letter which surfaced about him delivering the lecture at the Helen Suzman Foundation. That's it for this week's edition of Debunked. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.